Rosalia Vargas ist Präsidentin der Ciência Viva. Das ist die Nationalagentur für wissenschaftliche und technologische Kultur in Portugal. Die haben also wirklich so eine echte Einrichtung und sie ist außerdem noch Direktorin des Lissabon Wissenschaftszentrum eines Pavilhão de Conhecimento. I hope it was not too bad. Die ist seit 1996 damit beschäftigt, ein Netzwerk von Wissenschaftszentren in Portugal zu etablieren, also ganz über Portugal in allen Bereichen und Regionen. Dieses umfasst derzeit 21 Mitglieder. Das ist also eine lange Zeit, immer mehr als über ein Jahrhundert hinaus, sogar ins nächste Jahrhundert. Und die war von 2013 bis 2015 auch Präsidentin des European Network of Museums and Science Centers in Brüssel. Und sie ist derzeit Mitglied des Global Trends Committee im Vorstand der Association of Science and Technology Centers mit Sitz in Washington, D.C. Und sie ist auch bei der World Organization for Science Literacy Mitglied. Die ist in Peking beheimatet. Dann gibt es noch weitere Positionen, die sie innehat. Sie ist in dem Advisory Board der Open University in den UK und im International Committee of Copernicus Science Center in Washington. Das heißt, sie ist also in dieser Science Center Geschichte, in der Wissenschaftsvermittlung wirklich lange beheimatet und kennt da sehr viel. Und ich bin jetzt ganz gespannt, wie Frau Vargas und ihre Mitarbeiter natürlich oder Mitarbeiterinnen es geschafft hat, in Portugal diese Wissenschaftsfreundlichkeit, die das Eurobarometer ja eindeutig bescheinigt, so weit vorzubringen. Sie hat mir in einem Gespräch erzählt, war nicht ganz einfach, hat länger gedauert, aber wenn man am Ball bleibt, und das wollen wir ja auch in unserer Akademie, wird schon was werden. Dr. Vargas, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Baum-Jochen, for your kind words. I could understand. I studied some Deutsch some years ago, but I can't speak, just guten Tag. I would like to say how happy I am to be here, but at the same time, I am a little bit nervous, and for two reasons. One is because I am here in this wonderful place, and as the Austrian Academy of Sciences is, with so distinguished members you are. Thank you for inviting me. And the second reason that I'm nervous is because for me maybe it's easier to talk about Ciência Viva during 3 minutes or 3 hours. 20 minutes is more difficult, but I will try to do my best. So I think it's easy to, no, too much, this one. We cannot tell the story of Ciência Viva without talking about José Mariano Gago. He was the first Minister of Science and Technology in Portugal. In 1995, and until there, we also have a Secretary of State of Science, not a ministry. And we were very lucky to have such a person like him was. You know, because he was a big sense of science policy. And instead of having to convince a minister about the importance of science education and science culture, in fact, it was quite the opposite. It was the minister who used to ask us, please, you have to do this, we need to do more, we need to work with scientific community, and we need to work with teachers at schools. And I have this, he used to say, we need to fight scientific ignorance. This is a very important statement. And bring science to people, bring people to science. And even we have a quote from a high school teacher, and looking at this, we can imagine the popularity he achieved with these policies. Even the teacher at schools, which depends from the Ministry of Education, they were fairly open to the ideas and to the initiatives launched by the ministry through Ciência, Viva program, namely open calls for proposals to improve experimental work at schools. And he used to say us to changing education was not enough. He would ask us, please go to the society, work with associations, for example, amateur astronomers associations, and during summer, when people have more leisure time. And we started to work with scientists, with teachers, with local authorities to create the first science center. When we asked them, how many science centers should there be, his answer was as many as needed. Simple answer to a big idea, a big mission. And he used to say to us, please be aware, work with others, you need to go abroad, learn with the best, work with other colleagues, and be part of the international associations as, for example, Excite is in Brussels, or Aztec, or NAMES, North Africa and Middle East, Mediterranean. And we used to work around the globe because no one knows enough to do the things alone. And I'm showing this photo because it is interesting to see Mariano Gago's joy during the opening of our big science center, the Pavilion of Knowledge, Pavilhão do Conhecimento, the biggest science center, that is our headquarters of Ciência Viva in Lisbon, Portugal. And we opened the Science Center in 1999. And this picture is just from this opening. And of course, you can recognize António Guterres, General Secretary of United Nations, who was at that time Prime Minister in Portugal. So we were very lucky because we had two big personalities of a great sense of science policy when Ciência Viva was created in 1996. And Ciência Viva started working with a very strong from the scientific community, and this was due to the strong political support we received in our early years. We started to work with researchers. And also with teachers to be able to work in schools, and we also started organizing the scientific internships for secondary students, school students, during summer holidays. And this is organized all over the country from June to August. And we can see the data from 2022. But during the 26 years of Ciência Viva, there's a story to tell. With more or less resources, we never stopped with this activity, which involves an average now of 60 scientific institutions and 700 high school students per year, every year over the last 26 years. At the same time, we launched an initiative addressed to the public at large. It's not for schools, it's mainly for families during summer holidays. We started by working with astronomers, but soon we had geology, biology, visits to the lighthouses in collaboration with Portuguese Navy, and engineering sites. And this initiative now counts every year around 30,000 participants all over the country. And all the year round, Ciência Viva organizes activities to put citizens in contact direct with scientists. The Science and Technology Week is an example, where the National Day of Scientific Culture is the most important day, which is the 24th of November. And we celebrate also the National Scientists' Day on 16th of May in memory of Mariano Gago, because his birthday date. And it is important to note that these dates have now become part of the national agenda. For example, the National Scientists' Day, that was consensually approved by the Parliament for all parties. So these dates are now celebrated every year all over the country. Even near Christmas, we organize a lecture for the public, inspired, of course, in the Royal Institution lectures. I now counted 11 editions since 2012. And Nuno Maulid was our speaker in 2019. Here he is playing piano and talking about chemistry. A great success, of course. We used to organize these lectures on Christmas always in a theater. Mostly in Lisbon, but always in a theater. But we also have special initiatives for decision makers. One of the most important is the Science Café at the Parliament. We now organize 20 science cafes about societal challenges related with science, where decision makers can talk openly and informally with scientists, entrepreneurs, members of civil society. The Science Café is now very, very popular among the members of the Parliament and is attended by representatives from all parties. This picture is very recent. It was about the last Science Café we organized. We were asked, as I already said, to create as many science centers as needed. Today we have a network of 21 all over the country, and we continue to receive proposals to build new ones. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but they are independent. They have strong partnerships with local universities and municipalities and Ciência Viva, National Agency, to ensure the sustainability. Here we can see, in a very quick look, science centers installed in such an amazing places, like a old church, a old monastery, in a mine, a old mine, or, you know, so many different places are receiving these houses of science, as we used to say. It is really crucial to count with the Science Center network. Science centers are places for science engagement. This is the Pavilion of Knowledge in Lisbon, for co-creation and public dialogue. Also, they are places for European and national events. Here we can say the President, of course, you recognize the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, dialoguing with children and enjoying the exhibitions. We have received, and this is a good memories from our photo album, we have received other VIP visits, like your former President, Heinz Fischer. He visited the Pavilion of Knowledge in November 2004 with his wife, Margaret Fischer. Really, she spent a whole day in the Pavilion of Knowledge in our Science Center, and in the end, they left a very nice note in our VIP book. So, science centers are places that can host a very different kind of school. This one we call the Ciência Viva school. There is, in fact, a school at the Science Center. You know, we have every week 2 classes of small students from primary school. They come to the Science Center and they spend an entire week there. They don't go to the school. They come with their teachers. And during that week, it happens something very special. And now we are enlarging this project to the network of Ciência Viva science centers in Portugal. So the objective, and you'll see later on, is to install these everywhere. Now, I would like to tell a story. It's Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the Pavilion of Knowledge, the main exhibition hall, is full of children running and enjoying a very interesting and very popular exhibition, Angry Birds exhibition on that time we had in the main room. And there are some journalists there, and I ask please to put the video. I have to, there, please, it's very short. Oh, the sound. It will be great with the sound, but if you can, I will appreciate. Thank you.
O que é que gostaste mais?
De encontrar cientista.
Yeah, the journalist asked him this simple question. Remember, they were all the entire week in the Pavilion of Knowledge. They did a lot of activities. They had classes. They went to the lab, to the other exhibitions. Everything is so full of curiosity. But the answer is really addressed to you. You are scientists. And it's good when we heard about a child to say, wow, what I like the most, to meet the scientist. The second one, please, is very short. Yeah, is this one. Again.
O que é que ele te ensinou?
coisas sobre os animais e coisas que não sabia.
Very simple. The curiosity is there and the desire to learn more about things that they don't know is very strong. Well, it's a pity Nuno Maulid is not here. I'm sure he would like to see these pictures, but I will send the presentation. But science centers are real places for interaction with scientists. Here we can see Nuno Maulid launching his book that is now in 7th edition in Portugal. It is a bestseller in Portugal. I don't know if you know, the book is about the air. With air, we can make bread. So it's about chemistry, of course, addressed to the public at large. And he's interacting with the children who have the opportunity to bake bread. This is our small students from the Ciência, Viva school. Baking bread and ask questions to Nuno. It was a very interesting interaction. And also teenagers who were present, and they could interact with him and even asked to take a picture with him. He is a star. But of course, not all the scientists are so popular as Nuno Maulid, but we have in Portugal a very good number of scientists, women and men, that are very popular among the public, in special among the youngsters. Of course, I choose this example because of Nuno Maulid, but we have others. And I would like to recall Mariano Gago, the minister who founded Ciência Viva and the Ministry of Science in Portugal. He used to say, science centers should be the places where the probability of meeting a scientist per square meter is the highest. And he all the time were asking us to do this, to invite them to come. And then, just very, very quick, we have this network of 21 science centers, more 5 in working progress. We have the Ciência Viva schools, not only in the Pavilion of Knowledge, but we have now in other science centers 11, and more 9 in working progress now. And we are working in a new project. We put ourselves the question, what can we do for faraway rural areas? And we designed a new concept, is the Ciência Viva farms. We are preparing now 16 also in partnership with scientific institutions and local authorities. And they are real farms, but it's a mixing between science center and the farm. And we look at the product like olive oil, like cherries, like salt, even about sun. We are building a Ciência Viva farm. About sun, of course, it will be about energy, solar energy, and it will be installed in a small village, very in the interior, close to Spain, is Amarleja, which is the village with more sun hours in Europe. So it's the best place to install a Ciência Viva farm about sun. But we continue the work that we start developing with the schools, now creating Ciência Viva clubs in the schools, science clubs, in partnership with the Ministry of Education. And now we have we target almost 900 until 2025, but I can say that we have now launched the call for proposals to achieve this number this year. This is, we have a contract with the European Recovery Fund from the EU. They are supporting this project. All this activity to promote scientific culture and to connect the scientific community with citizens has called the attention of the European Commission already in 2002. As we can see in this document, Science and Society Action Plan, when the president was Philippe Busquin. And Ciência Viva appears in this study as a case study in this document. But we can say that on that time, EU was looking at Ciência Viva at the starting, but in fact, on that time, we were not in very good situation. As you can see in the Eurobarometer 2005. Portugal does not appear in a very nice color, a time that only consistent policies followed during several consecutive years can achieve. So in 2021, a completely new picture emerges. When asked that question, I would like to know more about scientific discoveries. Portugal appears in first, but this is one example of an indicator. In the most of the indicators in this Eurobarometer, Portugal appears in the first place almost in all. The interest in science and technology has come from 14% to 62% in 2001. So, once again, we have to repeat, to repeat and repeat, thank you. We have to repeat that it takes time. It requires work, but it pays to work in this relationship between science and society. Portugal is also the country where the influence of science and technology in society is perceived as very positive. And the public regularly visits science centers. Now they have science centers near their doors. We can say that because you have that network of 21. Portugal is being the second country after Estonia to visit science centers, increase from 6% to 59%. So it was a big change. But this is the question. So if we ask, is there an audience for science in Portugal? Let me give you an example. This is a very popular radio program in Portugal, which impacts young people. Again, Nuno Maulid was interviewed in this program, and this program has some humor. Fernando Alvim is more than a journalist, he is an entertainer. But he looked at scientists. No, it wasn't the only one to be invited to the program. And if you can put, please, you can see the mood of the program, of course, is some seconds. There is some, yeah.
Oral, programa para gente nova. A Vossa atenção, portanto, para o programa Prova Oral.
Aqui estamos nós com o nosso convidado que vive na Áustria.
Well, it is a program, as you can catch, really addressed to the young people, more teenagers and young adults. He used also to invite other scientists to talk there. And now I have another example. I'm finishing. We have here a tough journalist interviewing a politician. This is a TV program, weekly, and is called Big Interview. And usually he invited journalists, politicians. And here we can see the face of journalists. It's like all the program like this. The program takes almost 1 hour, 55 minutes, and is very tough, and the questions are very, very difficult to put. But now we can see the same journalist in the same program interviewing a scientist. And of course, I can't bring to you the whole program, 55 minutes, that this journalist is smiling, laughing, and talking about science and putting questions, and that's amazing. And it was so popular. I think this program is more popular when he invites scientists. And I think it's because in Portugal, we can say that science culture is on the air. Thank you very much. I'm ready for questions.